So for the past couple of days, I've been getting one major question. Why the hell would U.S. soccer settle? I'm going to give you my reasons why. My name is Nathan Laurie. If you are new here, we talk about the law and the facts. If you're about that life, don't forget to like this video, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. Now, before I tell you about why I believe U.S. soccer settled this lawsuit, I got to tell you about the sponsor of this video, AtlasVPN. Now, if you're online like me searching for facts, you're going to need some protection, right? You don't want your personal information all out there. And AtlasVPN gives you that protection. So let me be clear. I use AtlasVPN for a multitude of reasons. The first is the price. Right now, AtlasVPN is running a huge discount. That means that you can get a 3-year subscription for just $1.99 a month with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Now, AtlasVPN works with all your devices to encrypt your data and hide your virtual location. Not only that, you also get their data breach monitoring tool. Now, this scans the internet to see if your personal information has ever been listed in recorded data breaches or data dumps. And on top of that, with over 500 servers across the world and support for unlimited devices, AtlasVPN's got you covered. And when you click on the link in the description, you'll get all of that for $1.99 a month for 3 years. And again, if you don't like it, you got a 30-day risk-free money-back guarantee. And if you're like me with a family and have multiple devices, AtlasVPN protects them all on a single subscription. So if you're looking for a VPN and AtlasVPN seems right for you, click on the link in the description and sign up now. So let's talk about the reasons why they settled. So the first reason is that this was a public relations nightmare for U.S. soccer. See, we live in the woke world, and facts don't always agree with being woke, and when that happens, woke wins. So let's talk about the undisputed facts of this case. Fact number 1, the women were paid more than the men during the time frame covered in this lawsuit. That's an undisputed fact. Even the women's national team is saying that.
Of, X amount of years, we actually made more money than the men. And which dollar for dollar, that is true, which is actually a testament to how successful we have been.
Fact number 2, the women's team rejected the men's deal. The court documents revealed that the U.S. women's national team rejected an offer by U.S. Soccer to the same pay structure as the men's deal. Now, the women's team rejected higher bonuses for guaranteed compensation. This is an undisputed fact in the court case. And the third fact that no one wants to admit is that a court found as a factual matter that there was no discrimination by U.S. Soccer against the women's national team. That's just a fact. Now, even with those facts, that didn't stop the news media from lying about what happened. Watch how the news media continues to say that the women were paid less, even though as a factual matter, that is not true. Check it out.
They argued, quote, despite the fact that these female and male players are called upon to perform the same job responsibilities, the female players have been consistently paid less money than their male counterparts. This is true even though their performance has been superior to that of the male players, with the female players, in contrast to male players, becoming world champions.
And then also what Judge Klausner said was over the course of, X amount of years, we actually made more money than the men. And which dollar for dollar, that is true, which is actually a testament to how successful we have been.
So even when a federal judge ruled that there was no evidence of pay discrimination, the woke mob demanded that these women be paid more, and U.S. Soccer caved and paid them more. The second reason why U.S. Soccer settled this case is because there's a presidential election within U.S. Soccer, and politics is now playing a role. See, there's an eternal fight for power at the top at U.S. Soccer. Former President Carlos Caldera is seeking to get his old job back after he resigned when this lawsuit first started. Now, the new president wants to keep her job. So closing this chapter brings a lot of political capital. Now, with the election slated for March, think about the public relations nightmare if the current president, who happens to be a former member of the national team, loses. How would it look to oust the first female president of U.S. Soccer after she agreed to equal pay with the women's national team? That would also be a public relations nightmare. And the election for the new president of U.S. Soccer, that's happening next month. And third, U.S. Soccer can now blame the men's team if the deal doesn't fall through. Now, this deal between U.S. Soccer and the women's national team depends on the women's national team and the men's national team agreeing to a collective bargaining agreement in which the World Cup prize money between the two teams are equalized. Check out these clips.
Cindy, I want to go right back to you. The settlement is contingent on the new collective bargaining agreement. And as a former NFL player, I understand that aspect of it. But what does that look like when it comes to the contracts? Does that mean that the bonuses will be the same as the men's contracts?
Yeah, so everything will be the same structure. Obviously, each team can have a difference because the teams have different needs, but we're trying to do it in a very open and transparent way, inviting both sides to each other's negotiations. But moving forward, everything will be equal, including FIFA World Cup prize money.
See, the United States Soccer Federation has already stated that any deal with either team would have to be equal, or U.S. Soccer would not agree to the deal. So even if the women's national team agreed to a new collective bargaining agreement, their settlement wouldn't be finalized unless the men's national team also agreed to their new deal. Here is what U.S. Soccer said back in September when it offered both the men's team and women's team the same deal. U.S. Soccer will not agree to any collective bargaining agreement that does not take the important step of equalizing FIFA World Cup prize money. U.S. Soccer believes that the best way to achieve these important goals is by the women and men's players associations coming together to negotiate one contract. So let me give you a little background. See, back in September, the U.S. Soccer Federation offered identical deals to both the women's and men's team. Now, both sides rejected the deal, essentially calling it a PR stunt. Now, this was because that deal would have taken millions from the men's national team and essentially gave it to the women's national team. Here's my video covering that piece. Now, back in September, one source familiar with the negotiations told ESPN, under the umbrella of anonymity, that the FIFA bonus money was an issue being used as a weapon against the men's national team to make the United States Soccer Federation look like the good guy. Quote, the way they want to solve the women's problem is not by increasing the women's income fairly, the source said. It is by cutting the men's collective bargaining agreement down to the women's 2017 to 2021 deal numbers. So the men's national team rejected that, saying, hold on, why should we give up millions of dollars? You should just pay the women more money. So what's the problem? Well, the contention is that the men's game just makes more money than the women's game. See, let's just talk about the facts. The Men's World Cup brings in about $6 billion in revenue versus the Women's World Cup that brings in only $300 million in revenue. So we're talking about the Men's World Cup bringing in about 20 times more money. So follow me here. The men's team is being paid out of a pot of $6 billion, while the women's team is being paid out of a pot of only $300 million. This is why making it to like the second round of the Men's World Cup pays more than winning the Women's World Cup. Now, for any deal to go forward, the men's team must be willing to give up millions of dollars to the women's team and not vice versa. So essentially, it looks like the men's team is the one who's ultimately going to have to fund the women's team. If not, then the settlement between U.S. Soccer and the women's team is gone. Now, since the men's national team had already rejected this proposal, U.S. Soccer and the women's national team have come to this agreement and made it public to put all the pressure on the men's national team. And if the men's national team doesn't agree to it, they take the PR hit and are going to be called misogynist. Now, this allows both the women's national team and U.S. Soccer cover at the expense of the men's national team. So, will the men's national team agree to this new CBA that transfers millions of dollars from them to the women's national team? Should they? Now, understand, if the men's national team doesn't agree to this new CBA, the women's national team's settlement goes up in smoke and we're back to square one. So at the end of the day, what do you think? Should the men's national team accept this new collective bargaining agreement? Do you think they should? What would you do if you were in the men's national team situation? Would you accept millions less for equal pay? Let me know how you feel in the comment section. And my name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'm out of here. Peace.